This is Will's Band of the Week for October 30th, 2016. Hello, and welcome to another edition of Will's Band of the Week. This is Will, all alone in Fourth Bedroom Studios. We might get someone else in here later, but for now, just me. It's going to be one of those simple ones where the music does the talking. And, well, hopefully we're going to get some more of our regulars back next week. We'll see how it goes. It's been a busy week and a busy weekend, and but here we are. So, well, first of all, this is something I promised, and I'm going to come through on my promise. Yep, you know what that means. Live report. Yes, I came through. I went to see Teenage Fan Club. And you know what? I'm glad I did. It was very good. Can we call them indie rock veterans? Yeah, I think we can. Indie rock veterans, Teenage Fan Club from Scotland. And this was cool. They've got a new album, so I think it probably helps when you're aging rockers and you've got a new album. It gives you something to, focus on and, have some new things to be excited about, so you're not just going and playing the same set you played 10 or 20 years ago. So, and this was another thing. I was wondering whether, and kind of hoping that the new songs would sound a little bit more lively in the live performance than on the recording. And just as I had hoped, they exactly did. I think they came across really well. So the new songs mixed in really well with the old stuff. And the other thing is that they seemed pretty enthusiastic. Like they were really enjoying playing, and just all around good show. I had hoped they would have a larger crowd in Madison. They had maybe, I'm not that good at estimating crowds. I'm going to say maybe 150 or so. I mean, it's pretty decent crowd, but not anywhere near the capacity of the venue. And it was funny. I saw two people walking out from the, walking away from the door to the club as I was going in, and they were complaining about the ticket price. It appeared that they had gone in with the intention of going, and then when they saw the ticket price, they're like, "No way!" Because I heard him say something like, "This isn't New York City," and they were charging $22 at the door. And you know what? They're indie rock veterans. I think that's okay. It's a reasonable ticket price. I don't know. Maybe these guys were spoiled by $10 tickets or something. Anyway, well worth $22. Very good show. I definitely recommend Teenage Fan Club. Okay, so now I've got a couple of new things. There was a band from about, it's several years ago now, maybe roughly 8 to 10 years ago, probably this album came out. Yeah, it might have been a little bit more recent. Band called Princeton. Can't remember whether I ever talked about them on the podcast. I'm pretty sure I saw them play live at least once. They were kind of I guess you'd call them sort of orchestral pop or something like that. And there was a guy in that band named Matt Kivel. Turns out he's been doing a lot of solo stuff. I'm not sure if Princeton exists anymore. Probably not. But Matt Kivel's been putting out a bunch of stuff, and it's sort of, the bedroom pop thing, right? Where, he probably recorded it at his leisure in a home studio, although I don't really know this, so that's really bad music journalism. But he's got an album out now called Fires on the Plain, and it's if it were on vinyl, it'd be a double album. It's really long, and if Barrett were here, he'd probably be saying it's too long. But again, it's one of those things where, sometimes I think a person should just put out whatever they want, right? Let people do whatever they want with it. So this thing is really long. It's 26 songs and an hour 22 minutes. But interspersed in there is some really good stuff. And maybe coming from the perspective of an orchestral pop band, he's got sort of an ear for sound, because I think the album just sounds really well recorded, really kind of a warm, high-quality recording. And he's got a couple of celebrities. I'll tell you about the celebrities who play on this after I play a track. So it's Matt Kivel. The album is called Fires on the Plain. And let's start with track 6, Velveteen. That's Matt Kivel. Okay, I'm going to criticize my own statement from before. It kind of sounds too clean and too well recorded to be just a bedroom pop thing. He must have recorded this in a real studio. And the reason I'm saying that is because he does have these celebrities also. So there's a song where there's a guest appearance by Robin Pecknold from Fleet Foxes. And another one with Bonnie Prince Billy on it. So I guess that gives him cred, although I don't think those are the best tracks on the album, so I'm not going to play them. But anyway, just so you know, he's got friends in high places, apparently. So here's another good track. It's number 20, called Other Shore.
Said a few charming lines, and was remembered for a little while. Back there with you, and that was 3 nights before you took your life. And I always wondered how that would have gone.
Matt Kivel. Maybe that would be called dream folk. Seems like an apt term. So again, I'm going to correct myself. This is great. Just make an incorrect statement and then spend a lot of time correcting it. So Matt Kivel, I've determined that Matt Kivel is from the L.A. area, and he's got this album on Bandcamp, but you have to pay for it. It's just so you're forewarned. But it also indicates here that the album was recorded by Chris Votek at Echo Manor Studios. So, yeah, real studio. Makes sense. Sounds like a studio recording, but I think in a really good way. Okay, time for another track. Let's go back to track 16, which is called Black. Matt Kivel. The album is called Fires on the Plain. I'm going to play a bonus track. We're going to go with one more. Track 23. Notice all these big numbers? So yeah, the second half of this is actually better than the first half. But it all kind of flows pretty well. So here's track 23, Something from Her. There you go, Matt Kivel. Check it out. You have to like that music, obviously, and then have some patience to kind of just let it unfold. But it's a quality album, I think. All right, my next thing is, I kind of stole this from a rival podcast. that kind of music reviews and, bands being on our podcast, it's hard to find something that is completely our original ideas, right? You have to hear it somewhere. Somebody has to tell you about it. It has to be publicized somewhere. Unless, some band that is, playing their first gig notifies you, hey, we're playing our first gig. You should now be the cutting edge person who introduces the world to this band. So, that doesn't happen too often, although our podcast would be a perfect place to try to do something like that. But, on this rival podcast I was listening to, they mentioned this band. So I think it was about 2004, I had some music by a band called The Black Watch. And I thought, it's pretty good, real kind of poppy, power poppy type stuff. And I never heard anything from them since. I had no idea that they were still a band. Then I found out they released an album in late 2015. I think it's somewhere I saw it listed as being released in December of 2015. So it might have even been too late to go on a top 10 list. And so now I'm finally getting around to hearing this, and I'm thinking, boy, it's I really like it. It might have been a top 10 contender. But anyway, it's worth listening to. It's called Highs and Lows. It turns out the Black Watch has been putting out albums, periodically for quite a while. I'll tell you a little bit more about them, but first let's play a track. This is track 2 called Quandam Redhead. Pretty catchy, isn't it? The Black Watch. Yeah, there's some quality stuff there. The mastermind of this band is a guy named John Andrew Frederick. Great aging rocker, 59 years old, out of Santa Barbara, California. There's one more little trivia thing, but to keep you listening, I'm going to tell you about it after the next track. So the next track I'm going to play is number 3, called Pershing Harvard Square.
Because you say strange things and how
Black Watch. Okay, here's the other trivia item. There's a guitar player in this band who joined in 2008. His name is Stephen Shayer. And guess what band he used to be in? You're all guessing at home right now, right? He used to be in the Chills, a New Zealand band. So maybe he moved to California for indie rock stardom. But I don't know. You can't really call this band stardom because not that many people know about them, I think. But they're good, so more people should know about them. The Black Watch. So let's play one more. The last track on the album is a good one. It's called Eleanor's Not Hiding. Black Watch. I hesitate to call things Beatlesque, but that really kind of is, isn't it? So this is a test to see if Barrett is listening, because I'm going to provoke Barrett. Here we go, Barrett and other huge Beatles fans. That could be a Beatles song, and if it were, I'm going to declare it would be in the top 25% of Beatles, all Beatles songs. All right, take that. The Black Watch. The album is called Highs and Lows. Check it out. It's from late 2015. A band that I recently discovered still exists, and that's cool. Hey, look who just came into the studio. It's Grant.
It's me.
You came to save me from it. Think how bad it would be just me blathering for like 26 minutes or something. That just wouldn't be cool at all. I mean, I do it if I have to because the listeners demand music, right?
Right.
And we demand blathering, so I did that. But then I thought, hey, maybe you've got some more music to talk about. It's not a Grant's Underground. It's unofficial, totally unofficial.
Right.
But you had a couple more bands to talk about, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have 2 more bands to feature.
All
Glad
right.
I can help you out with this arduous podcast experience.
Yeah, we got to keep bringing the music to the listeners, and we're not going to do it. We're not going to just throw just any old thing out there, right?
Right.
It's got to be
it's quality
like a certain
control.
level of quality, right? So, all
We
right,
vet all the musicians.
Yeah.
Make sure they have a clear background, you know.
Right. Yeah. So what are we going to play?
Well, first, I thought I would talk about a band from Seattle called A-Frames, and they're a weird middle ground between post-punk and noise rock and pop music with guitars. So,
And they're not a current band. They're
no,
like
they're not.
a decade old from what the years I'm looking on these songs.
I think all the members of the band are still musically active with different projects.
Cool, that's kind of good to know, right?
Yes.
But I think you mentioned this band to me and thought that maybe I would have heard of them, but I don't remember ever hearing of them. So, weren't they on a major label? Like,
They had an album on Sub Pop.
yeah. So they were worthy enough to be on Sub Pop. But more importantly, they're worthy enough to be on this podcast, apparently.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So should we play something?
Yeah. Let's start with the track Nuclear off their album 2.
A-Frames from the album 2. That's from 2003.
Yeah. It's an old one.
Yeah, cool.
Do you want to play another track?
Yeah.
All right, this is off their Sub Pop released LP called Black Forest. The song is Eva Braun.
One thing those two tracks had in common was the sound of the guitar solo, right? It's kind of a cool stereo reverb effect
Yeah.
on the solo, and I think it sounds pretty cool.
They have a pretty consistent sound for bass, drums, and guitar, but they don't change that much. But I think they've got them all tuned pretty well, fine-tuned.
Do they have all the bases covered?
I think so.
Yeah. Good. A-frames. You've got one more track, right?
I do. This is also off the album 2. It's called Future World.
A-frames.
Yeah.
That's rocking. Okay, I have a question for you.
All right.
Have you ever written or edited a Wikipedia page?
Maybe like in middle school to add swear words to it, but
Like a prank thing?
not seriously. Yeah.
Like to see like how long it would take to change it to get rid of it?
Yeah.
That sounds like a great middle school thing. Because I wonder sometimes who writes these. So A-Frames has a Wikipedia page, and there's this short description of their musical style. It's actually pretty good, I think. It's written
pretty accurate, at least.
Yeah. Here's a part of it. It says, the band's style has been described as experimental noise, as the vocals are dark, monotone, and bleak, while the sound is aggressive. The drum beat is often mechanical and pounding, producing a raw, minimalistic sound. The sloppy, chaotic, and sharp chords, however, are kept in line by the ever-steady rhythm. That's kind of accurate, right?
Yeah, it's totally accurate.
They did a pretty good job on that.
It could start, I don't know, if they existed 20 years before they did, then there would be a genre named after them, maybe. Because it's a distinct enough way of organizing songs and instrumentation and stuff.
Yeah. I don't even know how to sort of interpret that time frame of like the first half of the 2000s decade, you know? So it seems like it doesn't really have an identity.
There's a narrative around the 90s, but everything past that gets confusing, like what it meant for that decade.
Yeah, there's no more narrative anymore. Yeah. Maybe that's okay, though, because everything's sort of just wide open.
Yeah. Postmodernism to the max.
Right, exactly. We live in a different era now. Yeah.
The global village.
Yeah, there you go. A-Frames. All right, good one. And you've got one more. Let's hear it.
I do. It's a band from the East Coast, somewhere on the East Coast, called Sediment Club. And I would call them a no-wave band, but a lot of attention to detail, craftsmanship going on within this experimental, noisy, on-purpose kind of jarring genre. So let's just play the first song on this EP. The song is called Rotten Roll.
Sediment Club. That's from an EP called 30 Seconds Too Late from 2014. They call it rock on this this categorization
rock.
I'm looking at. Yeah, it's rock.
There's a guitar in it, so it's
Right.
rock.
Exactly.
That works. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be kind of hard bass to play, that really fast thing. And then he's really switching it up. And the time signatures are not straightforward. And I'm assuming that it's like by design that they're playing something that is precise to what they want to be playing, right?
Yes.
Because I think if
If you listen to the song enough times, it'll appear that way.
then you figure out what they're doing. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
when you first hear it, it's like so all over the place with the time signatures. You can't even tell if they're just like being random.
Yeah,
Because it's so
a little bit of a different musical dialect than what's most pop is used to.
Yeah, definitely. Do we have another track?
We have another track, and it's actually a cover from this band called the Urinals,
Huh.
which I'm not familiar with at all. So, but I still think it would be worth it to show you Sediment Club's take on this song, which is called Hologram. Sediment Club.
Yeah. Doing a cover of the Urinals. Since there's a band called the Urinals and actually found this, so we should probably play it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So we can judge how true to the original that song was. Here we go. Well, it's different, right?
It's different enough that it makes sense to put a cover of that on your album.
Yeah.
If it's that big of a creative change.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool that they did that. It's cool that they're presumably promoting a band they like, the Urinals, through having their stuff on that album. Because I wouldn't have known about them otherwise.
And this album by the Urinals is from 1997. And then, at least in terms of what they've got on the streaming service, there's another album in 2003, and then another one in 2015. We should see what the Urinals are up to now, right?
Do we know it's the same guys?
It might not be. Sometimes it's not, right? Sometimes...
Yeah, that's just disappointing.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, we probably will be able to figure out if it's the same band, right?
I hope so.
Yeah, okay, so this is from the 2015 album called Next Year at Marienbad. Let's do track 2, Close Our Eyes.
We could pay it out of pocket and everything's wrong.
It's not, is it?
I would be pretty surprised if it was the same band.
We don't know.
Can't be sure, though. Maybe they grew out of their lo-fi punk phase, changed their minds.
God, we just don't know. This is music journalism, right as you listen, right? Let's see if they have a Wikipedia page. Yeah, they do.
Next Year at Marienbad. It's part of their discography. It's the real thing.
I guess it is.
Looks like it.
Interesting. I don't know. So now from the 2 little tiny blips we've listened to, the 1997 thing sounded better than the 2015 thing, didn't it?
Yeah, by a lot.
Yeah. Well, you never know. We haven't given them a full fair shake here, have we?
That's true.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, there's some things to check out, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yes.
You saved the podcast again, Grant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
thanks
welcome.
for doing that. Yeah.
I do what I can.
Yep. So, yeah. All right. Busy week, busy weekend, as I mentioned. So we better sign off so we can try to get this podcast out to the listeners, right?
Good idea.
All right. We'll talk to you again next week with another edition of Will's Band of the Week. Good night.
Good night.
You can subscribe to the Will's Band of the Week podcast using iTunes or any other podcast app. All of our podcasts are also available directly on our webpage, willsband.net. You can contact us directly by email to willsband@yahoo.com, on our Facebook page, or on Twitter @willsband. The Will's Band of the Week podcast is brought to you every week from Fourth Bedroom Studios in Madison, Wisconsin. Our theme music was composed by Grant and performed by Grant and Will. Thanks for listening.